Hello and welcome back to Mystic in the Machine. On America's election eve.
Election Eve and Guy Fawkes Night.
Yeah.
One interesting coincidence. Or does that happen more often than I realise?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't really know.
Because it is always November, isn't it?
It's November something, but I'm not sure if it's November 5th all the time.
I think it's always the first bit of November.
Well,
so it's probably crossed over a lot more times.
Well, if you guys hear fireworks in the background, that's why. We are currently having Guy Fawkes Night in the UK.
Which made me think about it today. It's like made me realise kind of again how kind of like over dramatic like American politics is, right? Because Guy Fawkes Night is like a night that we all still celebrate. What was it, like 200 or 250 years later, nearish, for the execution of Guy Fawkes, right? Of the execution of the last guy that tried to like revolt and like blow up Parliament. Like we executed him, and now we like do fireworks because of that. Like
every year.
But then it's kind of like that nice,
because
for me, like I grew up in like quite a surly like working class family, so that it was always like, oh yeah, I thought the attitude was more like, yeah, he like tried, so we sort of like do the fireworks
to remember the 5th of November
to remind the elites that it can happen any year kind of thing. But that's not the narrative at all. That's not the narrative at all. The narrative
that was
is
the meme magic
like...
that Alan Moore did, basically. He reclaimed the meme for that
for Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, for Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
But no, the narrative is it's like to remind people to never revolt again.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like quite bad.
Yeah. They also still check for gunpowder treasonists in the basement of Parliament as like a ritual. Not because they're actually worried that there'll be gunpowder treasonists there, but just in case.
I feel like that's like I feel like that could be like a great Armando Iannucci film.
Yeah, like, where there's actually gunpowder treasonists there.
And they're wearing like the like the
oh my god
masks.
Oh my god, yes.
Fuck. I've been caught.
We should pitch that. Well, I feel like even though we have weird stuff in our politics, it's far more dignified than what's going on across the pond currently.
Yeah, it's just like the bland like execution of like AI into police force and things like that, which like nobody talks about even in the media or the press, like here in this country.
Yeah.
And like all sorts of authoritarian like terrible things like getting rolled out by like Labour and the government here. Which kind of just like sucks.
Definitely. But I mean, at least
it's all just done with like a smile on this face, and everyone just sort of goes, well, and
at least our election is like over, because theirs is happening now, and I mean, I doubt it's going to be over tomorrow. Remember last time when it took them like 3 days to count the vote, and it was this like unprecedented thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen again this time for sure. I think it's gonna be like another. I mean, I could be wrong. But I doubt that it's gonna be like a.
I don't think there will be a clean-cut election in America ever again, because the precedent has now been set to like question and to say the other person stole it and. Hillary
and to
Clinton
say the other
did the
person's
same thing
like a threat to democracy and all of this stuff, and saying it's going to be the last election ever. Like all the crazy precedents have been set.
But it was set in 2016 by both sides. Like, I remember Trump saying that he would have like some sort of hissy fit about it because of the polls or like whatever the fucking thing it was like that.
And then Clinton with her Russiagate bullshit.
Yeah, like literally implemented all of her tentacles to fuck up Trump's shit and reputation and the validity of that election and how much it was brought into question.
It's a total fucking shit show.
And like, even I think that year was precedent as well, because that was sort of like with Cambridge Analytica and all the big data and how internet was being like manipulated to steer, vote outcomes and all that kind of stuff through sort of like hyper propagandizing people essentially on social media. So and now it's just kind of like, I think it is either like accepted and then people expect it now, or they just forgot about that and just don't really think about it and bring it up anymore. It's like everyone got all up in arms about it, and like, did we arrest it? Did we make it illegal? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
So there's just part of the tool set now of like doing democracy. Right?
Yeah. Democracy.
Gotta love it.
Oh my god. I wanted to show a video though that I thought was really funny. Where Kamala's Indian heritage is from. I forget the name of the place. They'll say it in the video. But they did a puja for her.
A puja.
Yeah, this is the second video. Yeah, they did a puja for her, and Kali Puja happened on October 31st, and apparently so did Kamala Puja. So I thought it would be fun to show.
Just 2 seconds. I got it.
Jake showing you his YouTube feed. Instead, there we go.
It's catching up on the AI news, bro.
Hindus in India are praying for the success of presidential candidate Kamala Harris, who has Indian ancestry.
So based.
Reuters reports prayers are taking place in Tamil Nadu, the state where the vice president's mother was born.
Our Indian as well as Tamil Vamsavali leader Kamala Harris going to participate in that as a president election. We, the Madurai Anushattin Anugraham organization, made a special puja for her victory.
A puja is a prayer session. In New Delhi last week, another group of Hindus prayed for former President Donald Trump to win.
मानवता के रक्षक डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ही एक ऐसे नेता है जो विश्व में शांति ला सकते हैं. डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने मुखर होकर के
Oh, they're doing one for Trump as well.
Yeah,
There you go.
There's a Trump puja.
There you go then.
But which vibe? See, they've got Kali there. Which vibe do you think is more?
I mean,
the vibe.
the fires looked higher at the Trump one, didn't they? Let's be honest. Interpret that how you will.
But these guys look like bad wizards. The other one seemed calmer.
Yeah, they did seem calmer. I don't know. It's sort of like
I just thought that was a cute little tidbit.
everyone's doing their little juju. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my god. What the fuck's that?
Fucking TikTok autoplay. That's what that is.
Oh.
We have been granted
God, no,
exclusive access to the
We're stuck, sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah, so that obviously everyone's doing their like weird like rituals right now for the American fucking electoral outcome.
I didn't
Not
even
that
think about
anything's
it
gonna change if any, regardless of whoever fucking wins.
Well, I didn't even think about it like that, but like it would be a big year for the Indians, right? In the diaspora.
In politics, in the diaspora.
Because you had Rishi.
Yeah, Rishi
like, in the
Sunak.
UK.
You also
Indian...
had what's the name of the guy that was everyone wanted to be Trump's VP instead of Vance?
Oh, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah. And now Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Half of her.
Yeah.
Because the other half is black.
Well, she claims whatever's the most beneficial on the day.
Also, the Tory, the Conservative Party, just declared its first black female leader in the British British
Kemi
politics.
Badenoch or
Yeah.
She
She shares the same name as my mother. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of mother energy going around right now.
The diaspora's coming through strong.
The diaspora's coming through fucking strong. The Nigerians, the Indians, like I'm feeling it a little bit. I am swelling with pride a little bit. Regardless of the political stuff, it's nice to see my people. But yeah, she's now the leader of the Conservative Party, and obviously it's ironic because the Conservatives in the UK have had more female and more black leaders than the Labour Party. Than the Labour Party has. And it just shows how ridiculous identity politics is at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I don't think, I don't
know. I think they kind of do some of that because they did like a institutional racism investigation on themselves and then found themselves not guilty. But
it's my whole thing is it's like the political aim though, because like now they look better despite the fact that their policies are going to affect people.
Yeah, in
they don't
disproportionately
care.
like worse ways,
yeah,
right?
They don't care. They still look better because of it.
But it's sort of like, don't you see the sort of like, it's almost like a Monty Python sketch,
it
isn't
literally
it?
is.
Like, we did an investigation on ourselves for any wrongdoings and we found that we didn't do anything wrong. Like, you don't fucking say. Like, this is actually unbelievable that this was even acceptable.
I don't know,
or like,
it's not.
they wasted money on doing something like that.
It is. It's crazy. But then again, it's like more of a big deal in America, this notion of female power, whereas here not so much, because we've had female prime ministers, we've had queens.
It didn't pan out so well, did it?
Oh, shush you.
Both times.
Oh my gosh.
All of the times. You had fucking Thatcher, okay?
Yeah,
and then you had
Iron
fucking
Lady.
and then you had fucking Brexit
But
with fucking Theresa May.
And
And then you had Liz Truss completely tank the British economy.
Let's not
So
talk about
I don't
the
think
politics.
that's like 0 for 3 that women are batting for Prime Minister
shush,
in the UK. So I feel like
Shush.
we got to stop that.
We've had queens.
Yeah.
And we
But they do
actually
well.
we actually have kind of like, we really are like into female power. We like to be dominated by a strong woman.
It has
in
to
the
be.
UK.
It has to be kind of like this. Exactly that, like not too direct. The
Yeah.
Prime Minister's too direct, and that's why they.
It has to
that's
be a
why,
queen.
and that's why they fuck it up. But the Queen is kind of detached, doesn't really have any like immediate kind of like proper power like that. But it's still kind of like somewhat of an authority and like should be taken seriously and given reverence and respect. So it's like, it's that perfect kind of like
Perfect
woman
balance.
role,
Oh,
which is why we've
wow.
had banger queens like fucking Queen Elizabeth I. Well, and the sequel that comes later, and Queen Victoria, like kind of
We've
smashed
had
it.
Mary.
Right?
There's Mary. There are so many. We've had quite a lot of queens.
Loads of queens.
Loads of queens.
But prime ministers, they're not batting 100. They're not. They're not doing well.
But even then, yeah, we don't have this issue with female power in the UK or in like most of the. Even in the not so developed world, there's been female leadership.
I'd like everybody in journalism to start referring it to as that now.
The not so developed world.
Yeah.
I'm not very tactful. I'm not going to be invited on cable news anytime soon.
That's like the Portlandia, like trying to be nice.
Trying to be nice. But even then, I mean, yeah, there's in most parts outside of America, this notion of female power isn't that controversial, but it's like the main thing that Kamala Harris is running on, is the vibe of female power.
It's definitely a lot of
Which is cool. I'm vibing.
It is, as I said, is a vibocracy. And like it is, I think it's very heavily
no policies,
a
just
vibocracy.
vibes.
And there's this
vibes.
there's this guy that I've started watching on YouTube who I think kind of proves that no cap on God guy. Because
you are almost 31 years old, Jake.
Because he goes
Did
to
you
the
just say no cap on God?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's the name of his channel, and
Oh my
he's like in
God.
his early 20s or whatever. Maybe he's I think he's in his early 20s. And
those are the only people who should be using statements like that.
mate, his channel's growing and popping the fuck off. And he's been doing all
What
this
does he do? Is he the guy that interviews
He's
people?
the guy that goes and kisses all the grandmas at the fucking Democratic conventions
Oh,
and
the
shit.
horny grandma
Yeah,
guy?
they fucking love him. But he plays this overly like camp, guy at the Democratic places, and then kind of plays a sort of like shitposty sort of guy or whatever in for the right wing people, and they
Yeah.
both just like show their ass to him.
Wow.
But it's it just show. I think the fact that he can just camouflage himself with literally a camp accent and a scarf just shows you like it's all about vibes. Nobody has any fucking
convictions
principles or
thought
convictions.
going through
It's
their head at all
it's
about
all about
anything.
vibes, and they think they have convictions, which
No.
is what they think they're so up in arms about, which is what is even funnier to me. But like, if they're presented with any kind of contradiction, it's just like goes out the other end of
Yeah,
the
pretty
other ear,
much.
basically. It's like
Pretty
no,
much.
don't worry about it.
Pretty much.
This vibe is the good vibe. Everything else but this vibe is bad. It's like, how are you so entrapped in that?
Well, in terms of the battle of the vibes, who are you calling it for?
Well, the betting odds
Have you put a bet on?
I haven't, because fucking Chelsea didn't fucking win on the weekend.
You lost money.
Because a little side anecdote. I had a mystery £4.50 in my Paddy Power account,
Oh
with
my
either
God,
from like a bet that
wow.
I had won that I'd forgotten to cash out, or like just some like random little prize that I'd gotten. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll put a bet on the Sunday football. Let's see. Chelsea's playing. Chelsea are my team. Chelsea to win. This guy that I'd followed in Football Manager from years ago, who was a youth prospect that then came to be in my team like a fucking star player. He was then listed on all the betting sheets, be like, he's going to score, he's going to assist, he's going to do all this stuff. And you're like, fucking come on then, yes. This is a sign from the universe. And his last name is Palmer, which is also like the starting name of my new music project.
Habit starts.
So
This is
it's like
literally
it's
how-
destiny. It's
this is
written in the
magical
stars.
Thinking.
Okay.
This is the magical thinking. I need to watch you. I really need to watch you.
It's written in the stars. I'm gonna put the fucking. Listen, naysayer. It was written in the stars. Okay. I'm gonna put this bet on.
Shit.
All right, and it lost. Chelsea didn't win, and he didn't do all the stuff that they said he was going to do either.
So you're not
I didn't
bet.
win any
I'm
of it. I
tempted
didn't win
to
any
bet
of
on
the parlay.
American election. I'm tempted to.
But if you were to bet on the American election, you would have better odds for Trump winning, which means you would get less money back. But like if you would have a better chance of winning.
Is that what the betting people are saying currently?
Yeah, so like it would be like a. I think let's have a little sneaky peek, shall we?
Is that ever a good indication for anything? I don't follow these things, so I'm
I didn't know this. I didn't realize it was a super black thing, like a black market thing, to take bets on the election until very recently.
Oh, dude, I thought it was mainstream. I thought people did that all the time.
No, we bet on the election, on their elections,
Oh,
because
we do.
because we can. There's
Okay.
what difference does it fucking make for?
But they can't do that.
They can't bet on their own
yeah.
until like either this year or last year, where there was such a flood of like crypto things and all this other stuff that was just like we don't have any like ability to stop this. Like, what are we gonna do? Okay, it's legal and we'll just tax it, and it's like all the same as like whatever else, like just same all the other gambling and however it's dealt with and stuff, like
American
formalized.
election gambling.
Yeah, gambling odds.
I wonder if the gambling odds are accurate from year to year compared to the actual polls, because that's all
Odds
everybody's been
checker.
complaining about is polls and whether or not to trust polls.
4-6 for Donald Trump, 8-5 for Kamala Harris.
Has it changed since the last time you looked?
I mean, what does that actually mean? That's a little bit too. you've. I'm like a pretty simple maths brained dude, so like 8-13 for that, or 6-4. 6-4 means that they're like you're betting for Democrats basically. But I heard something totally the other way around. Okay, so what's the bet slip like?
Yeah, it seems as if the betting is just as confusing as the fucking polls at this point. I think everyone should just fucking chill and go to bed about this, because in all likelihood it's not going to be announced in the next few days, in my opinion. I think we're going to have a repeat of what happened the last time, where it took ages for things to be announced, and that stuff happened.
It's all bullshit. No one's got anything, and I can't.
No one's got anything.
I can't find the betting odds. Why can't I find the betting odds?
Forget about it. I asked you. This is your problem. Is I asked you for your opinion. I didn't ask you to give me a bunch of autistic data.
All right.
And Jake is like, I can't find the
Calm
autistic
down.
data. So like, okay, I asked you to give me your opinion about where you think.
Where I would bet my money.
Yeah. Where would you put your money?
Considering my fucking betting history recently, I'd bet on whoever I wanted to fucking lose. So maybe I don't know. I don't know if I would like. I don't know if I'd. It's the same in the UK. If I was an American, I wouldn't be voting because I don't have a fucking option, or I'd be voting for Jill Stein, or whatever the fucking like third option would be, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I wouldn't vote for one of them.
But who do you think's gonna win? I didn't ask you.
Who do I think is gonna win? All right, I thought that's what you asked me.
No. I'm asking you who do you
Who do I think is gonna win? I'm gonna call it for Trump. I think
why?
Trump's gonna win.
What's your reasoning behind why you think Trump will win?
Because I think that the Democrats have been relying way too heavily on the like celebrity infrastructure and the old media kind of infrastructure, despite having Google in your pocket and like all these things, which maybe they did and then was seen to be too obvious and whatever. Like, I don't know. It was also the fact that Joe Rogan's interview with Donald Trump didn't even reach the trending page on YouTube, despite getting over 1 million views an hour, which is like probably one of the fastest climbing watched videos on the site's history. Mm-hmm. So there is still clearly like games being played and whatever. But like, I think that Trump has played so much of the internet
influencer
market,
and
I think largely those are going to be like undecided young people, and at the end of the day they've been able to hear this guy like talk pretty fluently, if not like a lot of weaving, a lot of bullshit and like anecdotes and whatever, but they've heard him talk thoroughly and intelligently like for hours, not in like a framed way that's trying to like frame him in a certain way, just like with Theo Von, or just like with Aidan Ross, just like with all sorts of people. So yeah, I think that he's gonna have reached more undecided audience, and through that fact, probably he's gonna win.
You think so?
I think so.
You're calling it for Trump?
I think so. It would be boring if we were both calling it for Kamala anyway, wouldn't it? So
Why do you assume I'm calling it for Kamala?
come on, come on now. You're telling me
The racism,
You're
Jakey
telling me-
Bear. The racism.
you're telling me you're not doing a Chris Rock right now?
What do you mean by a Chris Rock?
Chocolate. I picked chocolate.
Wow.
Like that's the joke he made.
Wow.
About Obama.
I'm surprised at you. I'm surprised at you, Jake.
That was like a 15-year-old bit
It's not. I'm not like rooting.
from when Obama was first
I'm
running.
not rooting for either any candidate, but I do think that I get my intuition feels like perhaps you're underestimating the amount of appeal the old model still kind of has, especially the celebrity stuff. Like, you know, you were talking about stans when we were talking about book club.
Oh, very true.
And like, you know, I don't know if you've ever met a Taylor Swift stan.
I actually haven't in
If
the
she
wild.
told them-
In the real
Have you not
life,
met one
I
in
haven't
the
actually.
wild?
I haven't actually met one in the
If
wild.
she told them to jump off a cliff, they would fucking run. They would run full force off a cliff, dude. It's a very strange phenomena. I don't understand it, but I do.
But Taylor would never do that.
I do think that you're underestimating the appeal of that stuff. And the power that it potentially has. But again, like I said last episode, I think this election is kind of like a litmus test for, you know, like whether the establishment media and all of those things are completely dead and the internet kind of influencer model is really like in full gear, the next frontier, or whether there's still kind of some tug of war in those two domains.
Where I think that you've got some tremendous points with the celebrity thing and the mainstream media angle still, and that there are a lot of stands and people like that. Did Taylor Swift endorse Kamala Harris?
Pretty
Okay.
early on as well.
Fair enough. But okay, your my counter to that would be that people are, I don't know, I think that there are the stands, but they are a very loud minority of people. As I said, I've never met one of these Swifties in
the
IRL,
wild,
in meat space. Okay, so I've got more stock in the fact that people are like calling for justice from like Diddy and like all of these other celebrities from Epstein lists and all sorts of things, which was
but then
gone
again,
completely
like Trump
undone.
Doesn't Trump isn't Trump implicated
Wow,
in
there
some
was
dodgy
some
shit
spicy
as well?
tapes that came out today, apparently, from like this guy who calls himself a journalist, I think, but he was kind of like a fly on the wall and like someone in that sort of orbit for a while, and it's just been like dropping tea slowly for like since 2018.
And what did he say?
He dropped some tape with like Epstein bragging about how chummy and close he was to Trump.
Yeah,
even when he was
that, yeah.
even when he was like the
Is that
president
real?
and stuff. That's 100% real. That's not like a apparently anyway. From like so far as we know, sure, it could be AI. I don't think there's that much actual recorded public available audio of Jeffrey Epstein to be able to pull off a really successful AI mimic type thing. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but like that is leaked by a guy who has all of this information, has been leaking information since 2018. He released this tape, which like kind of talks about them being buds, and more about this kind of supposed photo that was alluded to, like at the original time, of like some young girls that are topless, pointing and laughing at Trump as he has a stain on his pants, and the caption or the like whatever underneath the photo is talking about it being like a cum stain.
Oh my god.
So there's like a lot of wild shit.
Oh my god.
In there.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of wild shit in there.
Oh my god.
And so and I think
the whole thing is just like
I think a lot of people
cesspit.
have said you got to take whatever this Michael Wolff guy says essentially with like the entire container of salt. Like you've got to really like, you know, sift through the bullshit and whatever, like through what he says and releases, or how he tries to frame it, or whatever the fuck. But that tape is that
Out there,
it is
yeah.
there. It is a now long piece of audio that like either
What-
confirms or further alludes to this photo,
Mm-hmm.
and also the nature of the relationship of Trump and Epstein, and the sorts of files and documents that would have been seized from the FBI under Trump, right? Which is like an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty wild to like become president to like clear yourself of like international sex trafficking scandal. There's a bit of a long play, but I mean,
But even then,
it paid off by the looks of things.
Yeah,
It paid
yeah,
off because
yeah,
he
yeah,
got the
yeah.
FBI. He got to that fucking place and he got all them photos. And now
That's
it's all
fucking
it's
dark,
ever
dude.
going to be is rumors until maybe,
That's fucking
you know,
dark.
some people
That
with
is
it
so
come
fucking
forward. But
diabolical. That
it's
is
pretty crazy.
diabolical. But
Yeah.
even then, the fucking like when because Joe Rogan had Elon Musk on recently.
I've stopped watching Rogan, man. He's
Like,
he's lost it.
And
He's
he gave
lost
like
it.
a full-throated endorsement of Donald Trump, which is interesting because last week we were just talking about how Donald Trump like how he hated Donald Trump and was like insulting him and calling him an evil fascist back when he lived in LA and all of that stuff, and now all of a sudden
He's in
like-
Texas. He's got a Texas crowd, and he's got
And, like,
Texas neighbors.
Musk was on there also. He brought up the whole, celebrity endorsement thing and how J-Lo, who's P. Diddy's fucking ex-girlfriend, is there endorsing Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Like, didn't Elon's dad, like, married and, like, or, like, had a baby with his stepdaughter, like, or whatever the fuck.
But again, J-Lo, how much real?
Like, they're all, like,
appeal has
in
J-Lo
bed with
got?
the goblins. They all have, like, they're all doing fucked up shit. They're, like, none of them have their hands clean.
Didn't she do like an Amazon movie that like nobody watched?
Yeah, that and an album, a visual album that she spent like $80 million on.
She
or
tried to do Beyonce. She tried to do Lemonade.
Yeah,
but,
it didn't work.
but realized that nobody cares about
yeah,
her.
exactly, pretty much.
And it's
Pretty
not
much.
20 years ago.
Pretty much. But yeah, the celebrity endorsements thing. I don't know. We don't know how any of this shit is gonna play out until it plays out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I suspect that we're going to be waiting for results. I may be wrong. We may wake up. I don't know what time it is in America now. But we might wake up tomorrow morning and, it will be announced. But I doubt it very much.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Well, as we said, the precedent's been set, right? To kind of like
Mm-hmm.
call it into, unless it's like a very clear victory. I think any kind of margin, if it's within any kind of reasonable margin of error, it will be like contested to the utmost to try and prove whatever. I've already like seen all sorts of crazy, potentially like fake news about it and stuff, and like ballots being burnt and all sorts of
Really,
like,
what have
crazy
you
shit.
seen?
Like the shit we saw on fucking like Redacted that was like repeating a British podcaster on GB News talking about the American election and this clip that he was showing on his podcast, and then when we tried to find the clip of this thing, you just can't find it anywhere.
The clip anywhere.
Can't find
can't
you
find
and,
it anywhere you look.
and I don't know. I don't want to get into a tangent about that because that's been happening to me a lot recently. But and you know the internet's changing and all that kind of stuff. But like I like that, I feel like is when you get a counter something like that, it's a red flag that it's like not legitimate video, or it's just like
Yeah.
manufactured for some other kind of thing. Like if you can't find it, like what the fuck is that about? You know.
Definitely. Can you guys hear the fireworks outside?
I can't even hear the fireworks.
I
What are you
just
talking
heard
about?
one. I just heard one now.
Oh.
But yeah, it's crazy to me because that I was watching a news video that was showcasing like Pennsylvania Avenue currently, and they have it all fucking boarded up with like fucking bulletproof whatever the fuck, like they're anticipating civil unrest. And lots of people have been talking about it as if they're bracing themselves for civil unrest because of the result. I really hope that doesn't happen. I really, really hope that. What are you looking for?
That's an ashtray. I haven't got an ashtray on this
Oh,
desk, and
sorry.
you've lit a cigarette, and
Oh,
you've
I'll
given it
just
to
use
me.
this, it's fine. But yeah, what was I saying? People seem to be bracing themselves for some kind of civil unrest occurring if like a certain candidate doesn't win, like And the way that the media has been hyping it up and people have been talking, the end of democracy card has now been played by both sides pretty
Heavily.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if there was like a huge fucking massive drama.
It'd be like that Alex Garland film, Civil War.
Which side are you on? I don't know. I just can't be bothered with American politics. It's just so fucking draining.
It's also like, you know, hasn't the last like stretch of time with Joe Biden getting deposed or disposed of, or however you describe it, like prove that it doesn't really matter who sits there. Like it will just function. The system will just function and go on. Like it just will. Like it's way bigger than just this one seat. Even though I get the kind of like symbolism or like you know, however you describe it, of like a figurehead and all that kind of shit. But dude, they're all pieces of shit. Yeah. Like it really doesn't fucking matter.
No, not really at all. Although I do, you know, I do like the mother energy. I'm not gonna lie. If I was gonna choose and I had to choose one, it definitely wouldn't be.
I'm more interested in the fucking UFO shit. It's gonna be coming out,
of course,
in the week like after that.
Of course,
which is gonna be really interesting.
What is this? You've been going on and on about it.
Well, a lot of people have been
since we started this
podcast.
You've been hyping a lot of different UFO stuff up.
What do you mean? Hyping a lot of different UFO stuff up.
Specific anything that's like announced on the news, I'm not interested in.
Not announced on, what do you mean announced on the
news?
Or
like, is this huge thing within the UFO disclosure community? It's not something that I get like excited.
It's not. It's more hearings in like the Senate or whatever, right? Where they had the pilots, and when they had David Grush, and they had all of those hearings. They're going to have another one with another whistleblower that's supposed to apparently be revealing some pretty juicy, crazy shit. And so that is like the rumor, right? And so that's way more exciting to me than fucking who's going to be in the seat of doing fuck all and getting a bunch of money for nothing. Like,
what is it that they're teasing this time? Because they always tease that it's going to be.
Well, dude, I mean, how much more can they fucking tease? How much more can they fucking tease, bro? You know what I mean? They've already said all the words. No. They've already said all the words.
I think they can tease you because they're going to be dudes like you that are like
they're just edging for UFOs.
What are you hoping they're going to like come in before the election?
Well, no,
and, like,
no. Well, there's all sorts of Skitso threads going on at the moment.
Project Bluebeam.
Like
it's gonna come in.
Like not even Project Bluebeam, dude. Like it's some pretty crazy, like, you know, some pretty crazy shit's getting said about all of this like stuff and why all of it's like actually.
The Americans
coming around.
are talking about the election in the chat.
West Coast, Pest Coast. We get to do ranked choice here, and so there were like 20 candidates for local.
Why not take a break and listen to us talk about aliens for a little while, guys?
That's cool.
Sorry for our Americans. We have no solace to offer you. No succor here for you, unfortunately, tonight. It just is what it is. And you'll find out when you fucking find out. Sorry. But that's the juicy info. And so that could be either literally like more details, definitive details. And there have been more definitive details released through Lou Elizondo's book, right? Where he like claimed that Roswell was like a fucking stitch up and all of this stuff. All of this is like stuff that has been allowed to come through his like intelligence clearances and all this stuff. And he's kind of one of those guys which I don't really respect. That's like, oh, I've got to respect fucking national intelligence and all of this kind of shit. Which that's precisely
fuck that,
why,
bro. Like you should just be fucking saying as much as you fucking can and don't worry about any of that shit. Like, you know, you got the public to fucking back you up on that shit. But he's still someone that super respects all of that, and that was some information that was able to be released from it, which is like means that there are people that are okay with that being known. And so there's all sorts of stuff that potentially could come out in this like hearing in the Senate in like on the 13th or something like that, I think. So yeah, could be fucking anything. Could be videos. Could be fucking who knows, dude. I'm fucking excited. It's gonna be crazy.
I doubt it very much.
It's gonna be crazy.
I doubt it very much. I think that there's been way too many things teased with these whole like Congress hearing UFO things. I don't think anything substantial will come out of it. But again, I could be wrong. Who knows?
But on that thread, it was interesting. I saw a little video from Ross Coulthard who was talking about who's kind of more likely to do anything about it, because Trump has like publicly said about like it being a very requested topic.
Yeah, but he always
goes
gives
and all this
everyone a
kind of
nothing
shit.
burger whenever fucking
He gives them a
asked about
classic
it.
like, oh, like I'm the big guy, I know all this shit, and like I can't tell you now, but like vote for me and I'll tell you, like kind of bullshit fucking shit way, which I don't obviously count for anything.
Well, then again,
but
I think
it's certainly more
with the
than you're
Trump-
going to get from Kamala Harris.
With
I
the
think.
Trump thing, the thing with the Trump thing, because obviously he started the Space Force when he was in office, and like the weaponization of space is a huge element of like his whole thing, and also Musk's kind of like, you know, appeal and connection to him. It's like a big goal for them.
What if it's like fucking what do we call it? Three body problem, and they've all known for fucking ages, and Trump was just like, what are you doing, just standing around here, let's get a fucking thing going on. Like they're coming.
Yeah. I think in all likelihood when it comes to transparency on any of the Skitso stuff, I don't think that either candidate is like gonna no.
But I don't think it matters. I think that there is the fact that it has been a more requested subject in this election than it has been in the last one and the one before that. I think is kind of like interesting, right? And I think more people do want to kind of get definitive answers around a lot of this stuff, because it does like leave a lot of like democracy in the balance as well.
But
like,
people don't see it that
and that's
way.
where, like,
in the same way that people don't see the AI or technological acceleration thing as intrinsically political, they definitely don't see the UFO shit as intrinsically political either.
It's crazy because
it has a lot to do with like fucking misbehavior, misallocation of funds with 4-letter agencies, hidden shit, all kinds of crazy shit that people should be asking questions about. But people are way too absorbed in like the cult of party politics to like think about anything beyond that, especially in America.
Yeah, well, I want schizo reality to like burst through and break
everyone's
normal
brain.
reality.
It needs to happen
because
it needs to occur at this point.
I think it would save everyone. I think it would save all of us.
It's the Servitor Mundi, like seriously, like any sort of phenomena at this point that like really shook people's paradigm.
Because they wouldn't even
if it was terrifying, would be a net positive.
That's it though. You wouldn't even need them to like show up in the sky or do anything like that. Like even just the very fact that like there has been essentially like this clandestine like group of like elite people that have like kept this crazy secret for so long and like siphoned money from world governments and all sorts of crazy shit about it. Like that's like,
but
that's
the
bad,
reason
right?
that
That's
I don't really have much hope is because like even the so-called alternative thinkers have all been sucked into the Trump apparatus.
A lot of them have been.
Almost all of them have been. You look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was
Mm-hmm.
talking about how skeptical he was and how, you know, he didn't want to get involved in helping a political candidate and this and that. And now look at him. Like they're all like, you know, absorb all the so-called alternative figures have all been sucked into the Trump vortex. So like, I don't really have much hope for the media, intellectual, political atmosphere of America at all.
Well, I think
on any side or any wing.
I think a part of Rogan's thing from
none of
what I've read, because I haven't watched the podcast, because I said I can't be asked with Rogan anymore. He's not good anymore. Like he talked about Kamala Harris like rejecting his offer to come on the show and stuff like that. And I saw this video as well of like Biden praising Ford for like electronic vehicles and not mentioning Tesla and all this stuff. So I think that literally it might just be that like these huge figures have like the smallest fucking egos possible.
Yeah.
And like any little like, oh, you don't want to treat me the same as the other side did? Well, fuck you then.
I'm going to do this.
I'll just
like
go with them.
It's
and
like
I've got all of my weight
yeah.
and money and power behind me, and you just snubbed me. So fuck you. I'm going to go with the other team.
It's a battle of the formats. Like I said, like of course Kamala Harris, like, you know, rejected Joe Rogan's endorsement because in her mind she doesn't want to lend legitimacy to the like internet thing, and she's doing the whole establishment media thing. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a litmus test for which format like wins the day or whatever. But even in the sort of like quote unquote truth schizo realms, blah blah blah, there's no real like critical excavation of the party that they've decided to align themselves with at all. It's like this blind cultish adherence. And also, this shit works. Don't think that they're not going to do it again. I think voter turnout has been so huge. Like the last election and this election has been like crazy voter turnout. So telling people that democracy is ending, and all their rights are going to be taken away, and all of this fucking shit, and like getting influencers and celebrities like warring and feuding with each other publicly. This is all stuff that literally gets people to Pokemon Go to the polls. Like fucking. Just don't let me. I've been hormonal and like really pissed off this week, so I'm just gonna.
I just realized that I look like.
Just gonna take it easy.
I just realized I look like Papa the Rapper
Like
in
who?
in this outfit.
Like who?
Didn't you ever play that game on PlayStation 1?
No.
Papa the Rapper?
No.
It's like this little dog who has a little beanie hat, if I'm remembering correctly, and he does rap songs, and you play as him. And there's this little onion man who is your kung fu master.
Am I the onion man?
And he teaches... Didn't you? I'm going to show you. You don't remember Papa the Rapper, dude?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my god, this shit was legendary.
Was it? Because clearly it wasn't, because I've never heard of it.
You're going to see this and be like, oh shit.
I doubt it.
This guy. Oh no, see, it's not. I'm
No.
misremembering it. See, it was a... Let's show everybody.
That's another one of your fake memories.
No, I got it kind of right. It was a different... It was just like a... It was not a... It's orange hat instead of an orange t-shirt. I thought he had a green... I thought he had a green hat or like a blue hat and an orange t-shirt. Mixed it round.
Thank you for that. Well done. What were we talking about?
We were trying to talk about UFOs and you brought it back to the fucking election.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But don't you think like that will be the intervention in itself? It's not. It doesn't necessarily need to be whatever the fuck, right? Like just like some kind of resounding like video or whatever that would be totally undeniable or whatever the fuck it would be the schizo world breaking through into reality, and I feel like that would be like enough
there have
to
been
start
plenty of
shaking
ways
things
that
up.
the schizo world has broken into reality already, you know?
Well, it's not like someone's been abducted by ghosts, is it?
No one,
right?
No.
And it's not like someone's been like molested by ghosts.
Major sex
Well, actually, that's
trafficking
not true, but
operations
people have
run
been
by
molested by
prominent
ghosts.
figures, all sorts of things like, you know, have kind of come to light and have been major revelations in the last couple of years.
Scandalous sex things with politicians is as old as like fucking since democracy, dude. Since the Grecian times. So like I'm not going to take that as like schizo enough to break through. And as I said, if it was ghosts raping politicians, then like maybe that would be interesting enough and like pique my interest into how the schizo world is what it's trying to say to us. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think that is happening.
Ghosts need to start raping politicians then.
Well, no, I think we got our own version of that going on right now. That's what I'm saying. The schizo world is breaking through into reality. I feel like the more and more of this information that comes out that isn't then just like, oh, did you hear this guy said this thing? Like, the more that you just go, dude, look at fucking that. This is now like fact. This is like the thing.
What makes you think that this hearing is going to be any different than the ones that have happened in the past?
Because there was a guy, the guy
huge
that he spoke to was this guy called Michael Schellenberger, who's like done, I think like he did some Epstein stuff, and he's like, you know, he's not someone that is part of the UFO
Ufology
journalist crew or whatever. Like, doesn't go to those conventions. Is not a UFO guy, and he like reported this new whistleblower some of the details, and then more of those are going to come out like in the hearing. And he was like saying some pretty wild business.
Like what?
I'm trying to exactly remember the wild business in Michael Schellenberger's one, but it was essentially that like you know, confirming things like about abductions and like all sorts of like quite crazy, on the crazy end of the UFO stuff. Not just, oh, we've got a spaceship, but like some of the more wild stuff.
Like what? Eyewitness corroboration?
Like communication, like telepathic communication, fucking like all sorts of like the weird things that people are like, not nuts and bolts stuff. That like he alluded to basically.
And where was this information found? Like, was it?
He's a first-hand witness as like part of this program, and he that was it. The big piece of information he revealed was the fucking program name within the government called Immaculate Constellation. And so this was like, yeah, and I think even I tried to do a Google search on it just to sort of like see, oh, has this ever been talked about like ever on the internet before? And I didn't get the same search results as a lot of people did on Reddit, which I found interesting. But some people basically said there was a small spike for that search term when David Grush first came out about his stuff, but he never actually said that name.
Okay, so what is it?
It's essentially like this. It's exactly what the rumor is. The fuck that they are retrieving shit, that they've got research on it, that there's all this fucking stuff. That this is like the top of the pyramid group of like all of these other operations which do all of this crazy shady shit, basically. That is like the name of it. There's now like stuff. There's all of this thing to like actually research and like go and find it, and like all the evidence that he's gonna like actually bring forward from it as like either being a part of it or whatever the fuck, right? Like being associated with it, working for them, whatever the fuck it was. So like that's going to be the new information.
So what did he experience personally then?
I don't know. I don't think that those details were totally revealed. Like he's going to come forward in this hearing. Yeah.
Basically. So that's what this is about.
Yeah, what he revealed in the Schellenberger thing was the organization into Immaculate Constellation.
And this is a government organization?
Yeah, well, with, all the classic rumor shit, like with fucking Lockheed Martin people and all these other people,
so
and like some part of...
Is it a government thing or is it a private thing?
It's both. It's like people, it's like fucking people that sit on both, like, part of this, with a different network that's like outside of the regular defense network and all of this kind of shit, like in terms of computer infrastructure and all these things, which is sort of like how Edward Snowden didn't find anything when he was working for the NSA and like went snooping in the same ways. Like, yeah. Well, I think he even might have, I think some of that stuff referenced, well, that wasn't Michael Schellenberger stuff, but I think someone has also basically been bringing up Gary McKinnon again, who is this British hacker, I guess, or just like autistic guy, and he managed to get into a bunch of Pentagon laptops back in the 2000s, and then Obama tried to get him like extradited for like 50 or 100 years in jail or whatever, and he found a bunch of documents and stuff that like talked about non-terrestrial officers and like space and ships which weren't listed in the Navy and stuff like this, which could have been like spaceships and this kind of thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like he got like seen as like some crazy guy, but then he's still to the point where he can't leave the UK because otherwise he'll just be like taken.
Wow.
He's still wanted. Like,
I'm surprised we haven't had any hearings here in the UK.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty interesting that it's not really kind of... I think that everyone else has been kind of quiet about it. I'm not sure. There's been some stuff in Mexico, and there's been some stuff in South America as well.
South America, yeah. There's been some South American...
I think also maybe it's the fact that we just like don't ever really get non-English speaking news, let's be honest.
That's true.
So like they could be going off about it in France, because I know there's been a quite active scene in France sort of researching stuff like that as well. But
they get a lot of crop circles out there.
Yeah.
We get a lot of crop circles as well. I watched this thing the other day where it was like someone was saying people like wait up all night for a Banksy fucking piece of shit to appear in London. But then when a fucking crop circle appears, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. There you go.
It's sad if you think about it.
People have been rumouring that Banksy bought Turbo Island in Bristol.
Oh my god. What is you have to explain to people.
Turbo Island is like this random patch of ground in Bristol that sort of has been claimed as like a community space. But I think it was initially like a shoe mending shop that got knocked down so that people had a better view at the junction. Some really tragic thing. It was like, this was just some cute little fucking building and they just like knocked it down for obscured view of a junction. It's like fucking shit. And then the council tarmacked it over, and people have been kind of like upset about it. It's quite a contentious like issue, I guess, if you're a Bristolian or however you would describe people.
Well, it was
people
used
from
for
Bristol.
raves and stuff, and like people taking
Kind of.
drugs.
It's
and
like
stuff.
so small. It's not really used for raves. It's just sort of like a gathering spot, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And like people obviously play music and whatever, but like it's not really like a rave. But it's more like it's just like a scatty place where scatty people gather.
You wanted to talk about AI and stuff to do with AI before we round out?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I watched a few videos and stuff this week, which just kind of made me really sort of like, I think it's kind of the AI, the further the AI stuff kind of infiltrates our life, which has already infiltrated it quite a lot by the looks of things. Like, the more it's going to make everybody question the fucking game we're all playing, basically. Like, the more that students use AI to like blag their way through uni and just like get whatever they need to get done, it sort of raises the whole fucking point of like, well, why are you even here? Why are you even doing this? And the whole sort of incentives behind
Has
everything,
there been
basically.
like news stories regarding university students?
Kind of, and then just like a lot of Reddit threads of university professors and students as well, of like students that I guess you would say are like the good ones, probably like the 5% of people or whatever that are sort of complaining that, like, you know, sometimes even that they basically get flagged for AI despite like ethically being like, fuck AI, I don't touch AI, I've never been on OpenAI's website or any of those fucking chatbots.
Mm-hmm.
And still everyone's work is getting scanned through these things, and 1% of the time or whatever, they'll still flag something that hasn't ever been touched by AI as something that has been.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get labeled a liar and a cheater, from their university and stuff. So like, it's sort of, I don't know. And then not only that, then I saw like as well like a video of someone getting screened for recruitment from a video AI recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of like sit there and ask questions and record you answering the questions. And then I even actually found like a fucking BBC article that was talking about how to prepare for these AI interviews.
Oh my God.
Which is just like crazy. So like, it's already been used for like CV scanning and all sorts of things for like probably the last few years.
Yeah.
But now it's gotten to the point where unfortunately I couldn't find you a clip of this that wasn't just like a streamer reacting to it, which again does kind of raise some red flags to me. But the amount of information I've actually found about the services does lead me to think that there are lots of these that are available to recruiters and to employers and stuff, but just most people don't have the foresight to like screen record or whatever the fuck it would be to actually get the videos up on wherever. But yeah, and it gives you all of these tips about what the sort of nature of recruiting and things like this. And it even has this nifty little bit about social media accounts and making sure that you don't share any no-nos and bad things, because that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
And that will come up. And to make all those things private, which is sort of like also, okay, well, what's the nature and the point of sharing things online? Right? Is that for me to have it as a little collection of things on a little page for me? Or is that because I want to share things because it's either how I feel or whatever the fuck it is, or something I find funny or whatever the fuck it could be?
The internet's kind of been
right?
like split now into like creators and lurkers in a way.
Now everything has to be as clean as your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're like a bad person.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I don't know about that. It's like pretty crazy. And I don't really post on social media anymore because the whole vibe became very judgy in that same way anyway. So I don't really post anything outside of like my music or like a cute picture with you sometimes. And yeah, it just, I think that kind of like, then I saw a bunch of people on Reddit as well, basically being like, it's great because I've been able to actually make a fucking AI that responds to the AI recruiters. And so I launch up this program and it will say the script that I've got for these certain set questions or questions within a certain type.
Amazing.
And it will say the thing and have me kind of moving within a certain amount that looks forgivable on a screen captured video call, because it's not going to be 1080p crisp. Oh, look, his mouth is syncing up and whatever. So people are just and it's just so people are using AI to apply for jobs, and people are using AI to apply for jobs on such scale that they need AI to sift through the AI applications to then get the really smart people that then the AI interviewer.
Yeah.
Like, so,
It's just insane.
and this is my whole thing around the incentives and kind of revealing the nature of the game or the pointlessness of a certain aspect or a lot of like kind of people's attitude towards life, or however it could be defined, I guess, right? Like, what is the point at a certain junction, right? You like have got only 100 applications available for this remote job. You receive maybe 50,000 AI job CVs to go through. What is your option at that point? To hire so many people that can go through that stuff manually, or to employ the same technology, and it's just going to become this terrible fucking cycle. And I don't think
the spiral.
I don't think a lot of people have caught on to how much it's spiraling just yet. And I think it's going to get a lot worse in times to come.
Well, it's because no one, like you said, with the whole university thing, most people are not going to university these days to pursue their passion or study something they care about. They're going because they've been told they need to work in a certain field to make a certain amount of money,
to have a certain
lifestyle. So why not like chat GPT all of your assignments? Same thing with jobs. Most people are applying for jobs because they don't want to like not be able to pay rent or whatever the fuck. So
or I tell you what, that computer,
why put any effort into your application? Or
that computer use thing is going to be pretty crazy for people that like know or can figure out like what it can use and what it can connect to and stuff, right? Like if a lot of your job is like replying to emails and stuff like that, you could basically have something set up to automate your own job.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in
and
that
there are
way, it's
people that
kind
do that
of
already,
like
but
it's kind of like riding the Typhonian current in a way. I mean, like, you know, there are people who have won legal cases using ChatGPT recently. People who have successfully taken their landlord to fucking court and won. People who have you know, troubleshot their business problems and had successful solutions. People who have, you know, gotten great and creative business ideas. There are all kinds of like amazing ways to use this technology.
On the flip side, with the good part on the sort of university or student level, you know, there was a student basically complaining about the stuff that we certainly experienced when we were in university, that your lecturer is probably not even his full-time job, and it's like something that he's also doing, so he doesn't really have like your full attention, and you're like one of probably 100 or 200 students that he's kind of teaching this year or whatever. So it's like, how much investment does he really have in
your education
your
or
stuff and whatever, right?
In any meaningful way.
So instead of having to try and pester a teacher and ask this question referencing the stuff that he's doing, he can ask ChatGPT. And he's doing calculus 2 or whatever it was, and it's like all this math stuff is way over my head. But he was just like, it's not been wrong yet, and I've been able to like double check loads of stuff and ask questions about it. And so I think it is that kind of, it reveals kind of, I think, people that are really trying to do something or like have some sort of passion, or people that just kind of want to exist and get along with that. And I think like it's going to come down eventually politically to basically if we allow people to do that or not, if we want to allow people to have that kind of freedom or not, or to have some kind of responsibility towards, you know, society. And I think that comes through like fulfillment with like your job and all of that kind of stuff, and not feeling shamed for doing certain jobs and all sorts of things. Because, you know, unless the robots come very, very fast, you know, you can't all live in luxury gay space communism.
Nope, you cannot. And we're far from it. So yeah. Well, anywho, we're going off to Japan for the next 2 weeks. So we're not going to be back, and there will be no Mystic the Machine for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to try and get Diaries out this Sunday.
You don't want to do a travel app?
I might do a travel. I just don't want to talk to anyone. I want to switch the fuck off. Like, I'm just so fucking... I have culture fatigue right now.
That's chill.
And I want to be in a foreign land, doing foreign things, not thinking about any of this fucking useless dumb shit. So yeah, good luck on the election. Those of you who are emotionally invested in the outcome, you know, hopefully things go right for you.
Hopefully your team wins.
Yeah. I don't give a shit. Good night, guys. See you later.
Peace.